Well, the children are all so far away. APS swooped T, I rough and took them today, with tears welled up in their eyes. No parents by their side. APS wins again today. Don't think it's the truth. Gone away is their youth, and the empty eyes of the parents prove it. Don't you think for a minute you are weak because they're gone. There wasn't any warning for you to follow along. A caseworker has no soul to hold in check. It's why they leave us parents such a wreck. Don't stand for the hell they created. All of our children they stole, our saving. They are waiting at the door for us to save them. We need to stand up for our God and obey Him. He leads us to the battle with a beating drum. The feeling they took his only son. He may be the powerful, our creator. The son he gave to us is our savior. He won't be ignored if a praise is held up high. Those kids were made by us for his endless supply. We are to protect the children at all costs. This game is not over, we have not lost. We have the power He gives us inside. We rise to the faith when it's time. You never stand by yourself. Take God off the shelf and then draw the power you need to beat it. Give you strength. We want you to get in the fight. Your kids will never say goodnight without you in their side. As long as Tiff and the Punisher have something to say, don't give up. We are all here for your strength. Your Lord high in the sky, Tiff and the Punisher by your side, and your kids wait patiently for you to arrive. Don't give up your fight. What APS is doing isn't right. So don't waste another day. Put your broken feelings away.
We know it's all about the money, we know they lie, we know this is corruption. Does CPS know what they are doing to the children?
Tiff and the Punisher, they won't back down. Fight for the children in every town. They are taking our kids every day. I shout them in and no one has a thing to say. For those who have been isolated, don't be worried, you have a voice today. So listen up everyone, here is the story. Child Protective Services is real. CPS is what they call it. They want our kids because it fills a lot of people's wallet. We all think it won't be us. We say when they come we will be so tough. It all sounds good when there's no one to take them. But when they come, your voice gets to breaking. Stay calm, step away. CPS ain't taking no one today. We are educated. Stay calm, step away. CPS, you need to leave. I know the tricks up your sleeves. You can't do what you're trying to do. We have done our homework. Don't do a damn thing without a warrant. You know the number. We'll steal our kids this way. Tiff and the Punisher have come for the calling. They are giving us the CPS warning. Their voice is loud and clear. We stop losing our kids this year. Tiff wants to fight the entire planet. She is tired of our kids being taken, god damn it. She's been fighting CPS for 30 years, bringing children home from this disgusting mess. The Punisher is screaming out loud, abolish CPS and tear it down. I want all our kids to come back. Look at all those kids' pictures held up like thin tags. Together we are stronger than we need. We will tear down CPS with high speed. We will do so much being together. Birds of a feather flock together. So watch out CPS, here we come. Picking you one by one. We promise to bring back the family and prosecute the caseworkers unhandily. So give us back the kids you have taken. Tiff and the Punisher sending you all on a vacation. The one with bars in the windows, and the only games you play are on Nintendos. Corruption in courts, here we come. We won't stop until it's done. You judges need to learn what you stand for. This is Tiff and the Punisher Warrior, and we cry out to all of you out there. We need support for a cause that many don't care. All children are being stolen away too often. So CPS, we plan on never stopping. Stop it.
What's up, Tiff?
Hey, this is so weird because I'm on my phone tonight and we're so little.
I know, even smaller now. I did that on purpose just so you couldn't see
Oh,
it. Oh my gosh.
thank
So
you,
what's going
Derek.
on? You're welcome. Anything for you, Tiff. I'll do anything for you that you need.
Why, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
So what's up? Anything good?
Mhm. No,
No?
I'm a little irritated, but we can talk about that another time.
Oh, okay.
Um, I'm just
We have
saying. I'm just saying. Go ahead.
I'm just saying too. I'm assuming that your frustration might be the same as mine.
It is.
Yeah. But you know what? We have a great guest tonight. You know who we have on here? We have a TikTok celeb.
Okay.
Check this out. I don't know if you have seen these TikTok videos or not, because I know that so we don't necessarily do all of these things. But check this thing out here. Look at this. This is our guest tonight. Man, he really looks like my friend James Brown, man, the other CPS advocate. That's
That
crazy.
law lies. However, they do have something for every other red-blooded American. It's called the Family First Act. And the Family First Act is supposed to have the child go to the next relative in line, even for people that aren't Native American. But it's not happening. They're bypassing the Family First Act.
How are they bypassing this?
Act, the child's supposed to go to the next relative instead of going straight to foster care. And they're not. They're giving the child straight up to foster care instead of going to the next relative in line in a lot of these states. Some states aren't, some states don't. A lot of these laws, including the Constitution, including these acts, including everything else, some states obey, some states don't. Some counties obey, some don't. Not everybody does. They try to get away with whatever they can get away with because all they care about is taking that child away from the parent to make their 30 grand or whatever it is a year that they make from taking that child away. Then they made their money and they put the child into the custody of someone who they know they profiled is going to be a bad person, like a pedophile or what have you. And they stick them in that person's custody because they know eventually in a year or two that person's going to rape the child. Then they'll be able to take the child away from them, put it in another foster parent's custody, and that's another 30 grand. And they get to keep doing that. In California, they only get to do it 4 times. And after the 4th time, then we realize they sell the kid to the highest bidder because that's what happened to Allie Carter. And if you look it up, Allie Carter, she was sex trafficked to P. Diddy and all of them. And she was sold off, but she went through foster family to foster family. And if the child's a problem child, and they know they've got guaranteed money because all they have to do is wait for the child to make false allegations, and then they're going to make money by transferring them to the next foster parent. But some states, they go through a lot of foster parents. That is a lot of stress on a child. Not just be taken from your parent, and not just be raped and molested, but then to be having to go to another parent, There's no stability, none whatsoever. And children need stability. But these CPS people, they aren't educated in children and psychology and knowing what's right and in the best interest like us teachers do. And they just don't care about giving that child stability. They don't care if that child gets raped or molested. They don't care if they're taking the child away from the parents they want. Because all children want 2 things. They want their mom and they want their dad. And regardless if one of them's a bad parent, they still love them both equally. And so if the parent's bad, you need to work on the parent, not remove the child. need to fix the parent, because that child wants both parents. My daughter told me, I want to be with both of you. So I always fought so that my daughter could be with me and her mom, despite the fact that her mom was a very, let's just say, a not too good person. She made some, I'm not going to say anything. I won't say anything about my family stuff, but she's just a bad person in general. But I still made sure she got to see both of us and got to have equal custody, because that's what the child wants. And that's healthy for the child. But you can't tell ignorant CPS people that haven't had a good enough education in this area that that's what children need, because they won't listen. They just listen to this. That's all they listen to.
Again, it's all about the money. It's all about power. We're about to go to break. But before we go to break, I want you to go back to Ali Carter. Again, because right now, P. Diddy, that trial has started. And if I heard you correctly, you said the state of California can sell the child 4 times, and only 4 times, or do whatever, and then they sell the child. Can you explain that? And what's the deal with Ali Carter?
Well, it's like anything else. It's you can't really say that's what they're doing until they actually admit to it. But what we see is they take the child away from one parent, go to another parent, and go to another parent, and they keep doing that, and they're always sticking them in the custody of parents that are pedophiles and what have you, foster parents that are, what have you. And we've also noticed that if some of the foster parents are really good foster parents, they'll do the false accusation stuff like they do to us parents and get it away from that foster parent and get the child into another family. But I believe they can only do it 4 times. That's what I've heard. I'm not sure if that's true, but I've heard they can only go through 4 foster parents. But then if that's the case, then that would explain why Ali Carter went to P. Diddy. Because I don't know why our Riverside County courts would take, and that's the same courts I'm in too. Ali Carter came from the same courts I came from. And so I don't know why they would just take a child and just give her over to a bunch of celebrities to have their way with her, unless it's because they're selling her off to the highest bidder because they're no longer getting that money from the foster parent thing transition. But that's just what I'm summarizing, because that's the only thing that makes sense.
Well, brother, this corruption has to stop with this alphabet soup organization. CBS needs to be about, because again, they're not about protecting any children. And again, yes, there may be a few good people in those organizations, but at the very top, they're pure evil. Okay, this I believe is.
That sounds good. That sounds a lot like what we say.
Well, that is what we say.
Oh, all right, perfect. Well, let's get Mr. Toes out here, and let's see what. Let's see if let's just get him out here. Let's see what we got going on. Toes, how are you, my friend?
Hello. Good. Yourself?
Oh, we're all right. We're hanging in here, upright, taking nourishment, doing what we do. Oh boy.
Well,
well, you know what you're talking about. That's for sure. So
yeah,
you passed that threshold.
I research a lot through networking and through listening to people, and then I go on the internet and I start doing my regular research as well. But there's a few things with what I was saying in that video that have transpired since then. I know that this is a big fight against CPS, and we hate CPS, right? Mm-hmm. But we got to increase our numbers, and that means we got to reach everybody, and that includes politicians. That includes everyone, and we can't do that by just poo-pooing on CPS, right? So what we need to do, and I'm all about poo-pooing on CPS, don't get me wrong, but what we got to do is we got to say, there's still good CPS workers until they get fired, but there's still good CPS workers that mean well and want to help CPS, even though most of them aren't. There's good foster parents, even though most of them aren't. There's some good judges. There's some good, maybe some good lawyers. Until
I don't want to interrupt you, but hold on a second. Tiff, how do you know if a CPS worker is? How do you know if a CPS worker is lying?
Their mouth is moving. How do you know if you have a good CPS worker? They quit.
Exactly. Because once they're good people and they're trying to do the right thing, they're not making money for CPS, because as we all learned from the kid Derek from Fostering Reality, he showed us that this is all a computer program thing. It's got algorithms and everything. So they plug in all the behavior analytics of how you react, what you do, and all that jazz. And then they figure out how you're going to respond so they can make the most amount of money off you. It's a revenue generating system. And so once they're a good person, they're not going to make the industry money. So they're going to get rid of them at some point, you know. But while they're in there, as long as they have good intentions and they're in there, they can do some rogue stuff for us to help out before they get kicked out, you know. So that's why we got to keep an open mind about that portion of it, you know, because that could help us out, especially the politicians. We got to get to these politicians, and we can't say, hey, look, I'm totally hating on CPS. No, I'm just hating on the part of CPS that is wrong, which is most of it, the majority
Right,
of
which
it.
is the whole thing, right?
Yeah, because there's 2%. And I'm saying because there's different statistics, but it goes from 2% to about 25% of the children that go through CPS are actually abused, but outside of CPS from their parents or what have you, you know. But 2 to 25%, that's very little. But when you're considering so many millions, it looks like there's a lot, but there's not when you compare the fact that 75 to 98% of the people that go through CPS are innocent and are good people and should have their children. So it's hard to see those numbers when you have, let's say you have a facility where you have 20 kids. Well, chances are you could have all 20 of the abused kids and never see any of the non-abused, you know? So you won't really know how bad it is until you do the numbers. And it was like us when we went through CPS, all of us, we always thought that we were the only ones being abused and everybody else in CPS were bad people until we started networking. And then we're like, whoa, there's that many people that are being abused just like me. Oh my crap, you know? So the numbers fool you because you don't see the totality of people that are being abused throughout the United States. And we got to relay that to a lot of these politicians. We got to relay that to a lot of people because they're not seeing the numbers in their immediate area.
If they're seeing them at all.
If they're seeing them at all.
If they even care to see them at all, you know, like that's what it seems to be like. It's that they're not, look, they know that they're exposed as much as they can be exposed, you know, like we've done that part, check it off the list, you know, exposed, you know, they all know that. We know that they're stealing kids, that's on there, boom, that's off the list.
So,
now is who's going to do something about it, right?
And it's showing
like, who's going to help, who's going to step up?
It's showing them the numbers, showing them the proof, showing them the evidence, and getting enough people riled up to fight against them. You know, that's where we're going to hit it, because we got to grow the army. We got to grow because this is a war. This is a straight war on corruption. And it doesn't stop at CPS. It's all the courts. It's even the criminal courts, because they have all these systems that manipulate you into getting to plea bargains and so forth. And there was a judicial act, I think it's 267.
1789.
No. Is this other act? This one lady, she was like one of the first female lawyers in the United States, and I got to talk to her the other day, and she was telling me she doesn't understand that there's all these algorithms and analytics stuff that they use, and she doesn't understand that there's the ADR system. She says it's not in dependency court, but there's enough vestiges of the ADR system within the courts that we know it is there. But she doesn't understand that. She sees another angle though. And she's saying there's this act that they have, which I had it written down, but it's basically a federal act that just basically says the courts can go in and take your kids, period. And that's wrong as well. So there's so many layers that we keep uncovering to this entire thing. It gets really, really deep.
No, it does. And you're right.
I don't care what federal act is in place. Nobody and nothing is above the Constitution. The Constitution
Exactly.
says you have the right to be a parent. The Bill of Rights is a restraining order against the government. And if people would really read their Constitution, Bill of Rights, and their state constitution, and state Bill of Rights, ours is Declaration of Rights, they can use that against the courts. That's how I've been beating them.
Well,
That and a
see,
couple other things.
that's the thing though. There's no central foundation to our courts. And it's like, okay, so when I first was starting to this was starting off like, February, March of this year when it started getting really big. I saw Tanawa Downing on the internet somehow. I don't know how. And then I was like, oh man, this guy's hitting it right with the constitutional rights and everything. I'm like, all right, cool. So I started listening to him, got in touch with him, and I was like, dude, I've been watching you. And he's all, dude, I've been watching you. I was like, all right, cool. And then so we hooked up and we started, going. I went out to his thing in Washington D.C. and all that, and he's really got it on point. But that's really what we needed to put out there is the constitutional right thing. Because here's the deal: all of these courts and CPS and everyone and the way they do these courts, there's no central foundation. And the central foundation should be the Constitution because there needs to be a centralized foundation. You can't have things all over the place and have justice. So what the courts do, and I noticed this early when I was in family court, what they would do is they would pick and choose which state code, which CPS code, which county little stipulation or whatever, which constitutional law, which bar association law, just all these different places they would pick and choose from whichever served them best. Which assembly bill, which Senate bill, whatever. And a lot of them would contradict one another. And case in point, okay, so my ex, and I don't want my daughter to see this, but I don't think she will though. But anyhow, and this was it was for weed, right? So my ex, she got tested dirty by CPS for doing weed. And this was when it was not legal in California, okay? Because I'm in California. And so when it was not legal, she got tested dirty for it, and CPS didn't do nothing to her. And they just let it go. Well, we got hold of the records from CPS for something else. And because, like I said, my lawyer is pretty powerful. And so we got the records and we were like, what's this? How did she get tested dirty for drugs and you guys didn't do nothing? And they said, well, according to, it's either a CPS law or state law, said, as long as the child isn't killed or injured as a direct result of the drug, it's fine for parents to be doing the drug while having custody of the child. However, I go to parenting classes and there's all these people that are in there because they were doing drugs while having the child in their custody. Or testing dirty for drugs anyway. Not necessarily, you can't prove that, but you can test them dirty. And they're like, oh, you test dirty for drugs and you had custody, boom, your kid's getting taken away. And I'm like, wait a sec. So how did they get caught up? Well, they got caught up because there was an assembly bill that said you couldn't. So I'm like, this assembly bill and then the CPS code or California code, they both contradict each other. They're arbitrary. And a lot of our state codes and laws are the same way. They're arbitrary to the Constitution. They're against the Constitution. And Tanawa was pointing that out too. And that's why he went to all the attorney generals and all the board of supervisors and everybody else and held them accountable and said, hey, look, all these laws, codes, and policies are arbitrary to the Constitution. So you guys are violating the Constitution, which just goes to show that throughout our country, there is no central foundation. We've strayed away from the central foundation of the Constitution, which was the point of having the Constitution, and it's what our founders wanted. But our country, our politicians have violated all of the people by constantly doing that. So like case law, for instance, okay? Case law is where the judge reinterprets the Constitution because the Constitution's vague, so it makes sense to reinterpret it so that we can say, okay, this is what this really meant. And that's what case law is. But the Supreme Court, according to the Constitution, did not have the power. They were not guaranteed the power by the Constitution to give judges the power to create case law. That was an unconstitutional act that was done by the Supreme Court. And then also they passed the ADR Act and the Judicial Improvement Act and the ADR Act, which basically created the ADR process, the alternative dispute resolution process. But that process subverts the Constitution. It amends the Constitution. And when you want to amend the Constitution, you have to do that with a constitutional convention, Article 5 Constitutional Convention, to amend anything in the Constitution. And they didn't do that either. So they've been violating us for years with these ways that we're just working around things, basically. And we need to put them in check. We need an Article 5 Convention of States to reestablish everything, put things in check. And it's hard to say to get rid of CPS, to get rid of the Bar Association. I mean, those are things that need to be done, but fiscally, it doesn't make sense. It's too much money. It's hard to do. It would just cripple so many things. But that's why it's such a difficult thing for these politicians. But at the same time, there are things that could be done. They're just not listening to us because there's too many hands in the cookie jar. There's too many sponsors and people that pay them to get into office. But things can be done, but they just won't do them because of that. That's why
Well,
it's just so many peels to the onion or whatever you call it.
well, I can
Yes,
tell
sir.
you in Virginia, 10,000 social workers have been fired,
Good.
and then another 750 on the federal level last week.
Because a lot of this is like, take police officers, for instance, right? The reason why we got so much corruption in the police force is because nobody rats out their brother. Oh, it's brotherhood. But what is brotherhood if you're hurting people? You're not doing your job. Well, if you're a social worker and you're, helping the system, well, then you're not doing your job. If you're a judge and you're not upholding the Constitution, if you're a police officer and you're not upholding the Constitution, giving people due process, you're not doing your job and you need to be fired. And that's where we need to start, is getting rid of everybody that's not doing their job. I had a bill that I tried to get passed and in California, and I was giving it to everybody so they could try to get passed in all their states because CPS is a county state by state thing. And basically what the bill was to create a license that if you were working in child and family services, period, then you should have a license. And then if you get 3 dings on your license, you get it taken away for 5 years. And then to get it back, you have to have do parenting classes. And the judges would have to have the license. The police have to have a license, teachers, doctors, and parents, everybody. And they would all have to have a license. But if you got that license taken away, you couldn't participate in child and family services, period. And things would be done without you. And you have it taken away for 5 years if you got 3 dings on your record. And then you'd have to get it back with all those things I told you. But you'd get a ding every time you violated someone's constitutional right, every time you lied in court, every time you did contempt of court, and anything that was wrong, you would get a ding, right? But the reason why I don't try to pass that bill anymore is because if the judges and the lawyers already don't follow the oath to the Constitution, what makes you think they're going to follow the license? Which means we need to create things that put them in jail. That's the only things they're going to understand. We need to have some parent-run group that looks over that monitors that and makes sure they do what they're supposed to do and hold them accountable. Or get the Department of Justice involved. I mean, and then another thing is just to take their money away. And that's what this one lawyer lady plans on doing. She plans on taking all their money away, like to the tune of billions. And she's
strip it right down. Strip the damn thing right down. You're not going to fix this. This is not a band-aidable thing. This is not a fixable thing. Everybody from the schools to the mandated reporters and to the, everybody in your community. Like we try to tell everybody, you know what, locate your mandated reporters in your life right now. Find out who in your life is a mandated reporter. Write it down, put that on a list. That way, you have to act different when you're around these people. This funding has so many branches and so many arms. The only way to properly dismantle this is to take it down to the nitty gritty, down to nothing, and then start over. But start over from the local resources and move up. We can't take this from the top down. You've got to take it from the local and move up and put into power the ideals and the things that are supposed to be here for a truly. And then the other thing is, do we really need one?
Well, think of it this way.
Because here we go again.
It's built on money. It's built on money, right? It's all built on money. It's all built on the greed of money. So if we want to take them
Mhm.
down, that's where we got to start. We got to take them down financially. We got to do everything we can to hit their pocketbook in every way we possibly can. So what we could do at the ground level is, and she disagreed with me on this, but I researched it and she's wrong. But they do have bonds. It's a federal law that you have to have a bond if you're a public official. You have to have a bond, and that bond is insured by an insurance company. One of the insurance companies is Zurich. That's one of the insurance companies. And there's plenty of insurance companies. You got to find out who their insurance company is. Then you get the right to know. You go down to the office where you file the paperwork, the clerk's office or whatever, where you file all your paperwork for court. You go down there and you say, I want to know my judges and my court clerks. And she said, oh, court clerks aren't nothing. Oh, they are something. The court clerks,
They're the lead dog,
yeah,
man.
the judges and the uh, police officers, you have to get their bond number and their insurance company. Now, where she was correct is because here in California, some of the counties won't require them to have bonds, but they still will require them to have insurance. And so you can still get their insurance and get their insurance. If they have bonds, get their bond number. It's called a surety bond. And then you
Mhm.
file a claim against them if they violated your constitutional rights. And I guarantee you, if you say, oh, I don't know if they violated, no, if you went through CPS court, they did violate your constitutional rights because one, they violated everybody's constitutional rights with due process. You did not get due process. I guarantee you, nobody got due process. And hardly anybody got a jury. I don't know if anybody really got a jury. And there's plenty more.
Mhm.
You can take your entire casework, you can download it onto a drive at Staples or whatever, or on your printer or what have you, and then deposit all that into Chat GPT, and then tell Chat GPT, find me every single constitutional violation that was wrong with my case. And Chat GPT will tell you. And then you take all of that and you go file a claim against their insurance, to their insurance company, against their bond or against them as a person. File those claims and say, hey, I want to get paid for what they did to me because they violated my constitutional rights. And it's, I think, from something I found online, it was $600 an hour for the times that you're separated
Correct.
from your child. Is about $600 an hour is what that equates to.
Minimum. It's $600 an hour minimum.
Yeah, for the trauma that you've gone through, and you file claims. And if everybody does that, it doesn't matter if you get the money. Don't worry about that. If we're filing claims against them, their insurance companies won't insure them, and they won't have a job.
That's it.
And because well, my lawyer, they're leaving. I don't care. You still do it. That insurance companies will be like, you know what? If they ever come back, I'm not going to insure them. File claims against everybody. We hit them at their pocketbook. And then the good lawyers, these ladies, and I've met two ladies that started their practice in the 60s and 70s. They were some of the first ladies in law, and they are fighters. I mean, they cuss like a sailor and. They're fire pistols,
Oh,
man.
sweet, Chip.
I'm telling you. And they say lady lawyers are the worst. I was like, okay. And they're fighting. And you find them lawyers are fighting, man, they're ready to do lawsuits. And they're ready to do big lawsuits and hit them big. And that's where we get them. We get them there. But in the meantime, while we're fighting them and we're hitting them in the pocketbook and we're hitting them in their jobs, you got to remember this, and this is very, very, very important. When you deal with CPS, you tell them via text, get their phone number, get their email, tell them via text or and via email. And then when you get their email and text in person, tell them, I will not talk to you except through text or email, and that is all.
Yep.
I will not talk
That's
to
it.
you in person ever. And if you want to communicate with me, that's the only way I will communicate with you, period.
Yep.
Otherwise, we have nothing. And then number two, do not sign any contracts. They say, oh, well, you got to sign this in order to have this, da da. No, no contracts. And here's why. And you also got to get along with the family that you hate or the family is trying to take them from you, whatever. Get along with them. Because what you don't want is you don't want them to stick your kid into CPS care or foster care. You want them to be in family care. You hate your ex, that's okay. If they're with your ex, it's better than that than put them in foster care, because that's where they get raped and molested. So you got to squash your differences and work with your family that you hate and tell them, hey, look, man, they took them from me and gave them to you, and you're being nasty, whatever. But guess what? They're gonna come after you too. They're not gonna come after just me. They're gonna come after both of us because they want that child from both of us. That's where they make their money. So we gotta somehow squash our differences and take care of these kids, because it's us versus them, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not. And the only people that I don't recommend getting along with your family is if you got someone who's actually molesting or abusing your child. But if it's just like an accidental abuse, like they fell and burned themselves and the parent didn't report it, so what? Get over it. That happens. Some people are just stupid, you know. But if they did it on purpose because they're trying to literally abuse your kid because they're angry and stuff like that, well then yeah, you probably don't want to try to get along with them. You probably want to, but just keep CPS away. Because I was talking to this one dude, right? And he speaks mostly Spanish. And then he saw my Spanish TikTok. And so I was talking to him because I'm like, cool, I got somebody that can help me get to the Spanish community. And he was having that problem. And so CPS gave him a piece of paper that said they're going to have a third party to do the visitation stuff instead of his mother-in-law and his ex. And I'm like, dude, whatever you got between your mother-in-law and your ex, if they want to take your kid away from you, let them have them. It's better that than they go to CPS. And don't sign that paperwork, because I had already told him that's why he didn't sign it. I told him, don't sign that paperwork, because as soon as they get to be the third party, that's when they're going to get your kid taken away from both you and the other parents. Because what they do is they only have to summarize the conversation with you and your child and whatever. So when you have these third parties or you talk to CPS, they summarize it. And in the summary, they can lie all they want because it's a summary. And if they get caught, they'd be like, oh, well, I was only summarizing. I didn't say that's what I literally said. And they get away with lying. So that's why we have to make sure we all work together. And for the kids out there, don't worry, us parents are fighting for you.
It's funny you say that because I got a call on a Friday. CPS was at the house. She called me after she signed a safety plan. I said, what's your relationship with the father? She's like, it's not so good. I said, oh no, honey, he's your best friend right now. You have his ass here on Monday. File an emergency order for custody. And we got both our kids out of foster care.
Yeah, because too many of these people treat the child like they're a toy that they want to have more time with. Oh, I want the toy longer than you. I want the toy longer than you. You got to squash that crap, because they're going to take them away from both y'all. That's just how that works. I mean, this is a straight up battle, a humanitarian battle. It's a humanitarian crisis. What they're doing is torture. And that's why we even have a guy, his name's Cyrus Atari, and he's trying to take this to the UN councils, all these councils out there. There's a one against torture and of children and families and whatnot. There's always different huge councils, I guess you can call them, and they were all formed during the Nuremberg trials and whatnot. And so, because these are such humanitarian violations that our country is doing against all of us, it doesn't stop at the federal level. This is a international level, and it's happening in Australia, it's happening in Britain, it's happening in South Africa, it's happening in Canada. They're the same thing's happening to them as it is to us. And just like CPS, they think that we won't network and we won't communicate with one another, but those algorithms aren't strong enough. We're connecting, dude.
Yes, we are.
CPS doesn't like me here. My sheriff and his deputies don't like me. The judges don't like me because I don't take any shit off any of them. I'll tell them quick. I'll see y'all in federal court. We're done here.
They turned my daughter against me. But she's smart. I think they just convinced her, well, if you don't do this and that, then you're going to get taken away from your mom and dad, or if you don't do this and that, your mom's not going to have any money to have to pay for a house, because they probably pay her $1,000 or so to take care of my daughter. And so they say,
How
if you
old
go
is
back
he?
to your dad, your mom's not going to get that money anymore or something. There's something they're telling her, because she avoids eye contact with me. And so,
How old is
and
he?
she's 15,
Don't
but she's a real,
worry.
yeah, I know. She's a
She'll,
real smart
she'll,
kid.
you ain't got nothing to worry about. I had another client. The lawyers and the guardian ad litem told the child to lie against his mom. Dad got custody because he was made to lie. She called me crying. I said, listen to me. He'll be back. Trust me, he'll be back. Wasn't even 6 months. She got custody back because he didn't want to be there. Don't even worry about that.
Yeah, my daughter's smart enough. I've talked to her about this stuff before, so she already knows what her mom's up to a lot of the times, and so she's wise about it. But at the same time, they've got to say things to convince her, and it'll be fine, because her mom, despite the fact I found out she's actually a narcissist. I don't like to jump that bandwagon, but she actually is, and so that's the only downside. Other than that, she's a great mother. She takes care of her very well. So I ain't worried about my daughter. I'm like in a very unique position, because CPS took away their jurisdiction over the case. So now they're screwed. They can't do nothing to me, because my daughter's not with me. She's safe with her mom. We're Native American, so she can't take her away from both parents, because if they do, she has to go to the next Native American person in line, and that would be my side of the family. And that's where they would get screwed, because she would tell me everything, and we would sue the pants off of them. So I'm in a unique position where they can't touch me unless they kill me. That's about it, though.
Which isn't far stretched.
Knock on wood. Knock
Um,
on wood. Hope they don't.
I've only dealt with one case like that. And let me tell you, that tribe came out, it was swift. They took the child, gave it back to the parent, and said, don't interfere anymore. She didn't do anything wrong. I mean, it was swift. Oh my God, I never seen anything like it.
Yeah. Stuff they do is just disgusting.
So for reference, man, the thing that you were just talking about, the $600 hour, that is under the I just had it here. Hold on a second. I'll tell you, it's called the Disrupted Parent-Child Relationship and Monetary Compensation for Emotional Suffering. Actual thing, the DPCR, it was established in 2023, and it does outline it's $600 an hour minimum for the time that your child's been missing. That's 24/7. I think we did it on one of the shows the other day about how much it ended up being. Well, this tells you in a year, right here, it tells you if you are away from your child per year, it's $5,256,000 for 1 year at $600 per hour.
Can you imagine if hundreds, if not thousands of us did those lawsuits? It's like, dude, they'd be tapped out.
How can there not be? You got 500,000 kids a year by their numbers that are going missing. I mean, that's 500,000. That's 500,000 kids. So for us to even ask for 1,000 people to come out and do this, it should be a no-brainer. But it's not. It is not easy to get people into this fight to come together. It's not easy to get people to be together in this. One, because you're dealing with people that their lives are just shattered. Their self-esteem is shattered. Their hope is shattered. They have nothing. Their will has been destroyed. So they have no reason to come together. They've had it, and that's
With
the
that
part
amount
that
of
people don't understand.
with that amount of money to be owed to the public for what has gone wrong, this should be a total complete upset, to where the government has no choice but to listen, and no choice but to do what we say despite anything. Because I mean, what they'll do is they'll say, oh, okay, we'll pass this bill, or we'll pass this act, or we'll create this agency, but that won't solve it. We got to get rid of the ADR process, because that subverts the Constitution. We got to get rid of or revamp the entire bar association, because honestly, they don't have any jurisdiction in our country. They are a British accredited registry. And people say, oh, it's about passing the bar in the courtroom. That's not what bar meant, because everything the government does is an acronym. It was
Right.
British accredited registry. And so that makes it, that means it does not have jurisdiction in our country, and it needs to be done away with and restarted over, because we do need case law, because the Constitution is too vague. But we also need to get rid of CPS and create something different. Because if we don't fix all of this, I guarantee you, the first step is we get all these intelligent women that are in law and everything, and they're going to sue the pants off of everybody, because who loves money better than women, right? They're going to sue the pants off of I'm just being straight up serious. I'm not joking. They're going to sue the pants off of everybody in society to get this done and to fix things. But if that doesn't work, because this judge says, oh, you're suing my buddy, I'm not going to let you have a case, da, 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 and they do that all over the place. Well, if this doesn't work, then men are going to step to the plate and say, you know what? Our women folk tried to fix you guys with all these lawsuits. It didn't work. So now we got to handle business. And the way us men handle business is we start taking people out, man. And I don't mean we should be killing anybody. I'm not promoting anything, you know, but
Right.
the way I look at things is take out their eyeballs, take out their knees, take off their toes, you know, disable them. And if we got to use muscle, and that's what's going to come to, it's going to be vigilante justice. We're going to start using muscle if we can't get things done with the process of law and doing things the right way. That's where it's going to come to. I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying the way things progress, that's the way it's going to progress. And we don't want to get to that point where men start stepping in, using muscle and taking people out. And most men aren't smart enough, to be honest, they aren't smart enough to take out eyeballs and noses and yada yada. And men usually just kill, and that's wrong, but that's what a lot of men do, because they're just fed up. They're fed up. But that's where we usually will progress to, and we can't get there, because that's like civil war type stuff. That's riot type stuff, and that's where it's heading. If we don't hit it in the butt and get them all caught up financially and do this in a legal sense.
Yep. No. Have you heard of? Yes, ma'am.
Send me that, because I'm going to send that to the Nelson County Sheriff's Department. So those 166 kids that were returned overnight because of the Sheriff's Department, I think Virginia needs a little taste of that.
Yeah, absolutely. What the hell not?
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
We had a sheriff come in one of his counties, and he shut CPS down, and 166 children that were taken, kidnapped from their parents were returned overnight here in Virginia.
Nice.
So I definitely need that, because I'm going to pass that along, because I think Virginia needs to start forking out that money for what their CPS people have done. Go ahead now, Darren. I'm sorry.
No.
It's fine. Have you heard of
Heard of what?
You've heard of toll and roll, Toes?
Toll road?
Oh my, what happened?
Sorry, you were cutting out.
Happened there. Something bad happened.
Toll and roll.
Yeah, have you heard of toll and roll?
Oh, toll and roll? Nah.
Whoo, boy.
You need to go to their website.
Everything that you're asking for, man, is been wrapped up in their little package. You need to go to tollandroll.com, check them out, check out their bill, check out what they stand for, check out everything, because they've got it. I was just trying to pull it up here to show you. And actually they're going to be on with us Friday night. We start a new show that we're going to have people come in, and they will talk about how the bill, well, they'll read their bill, and then they're going to come back on the show, and they're going to talk about how it impacts their life, opposed to asking questions about it. They're going to equate how this bill, because it's for everybody. If you got, if it's for people that have lost their house to foreclosure, whether it's CPS, every alphabet agency out there that disrupts your life and disrupts what you've got going on is covered, and the remedies covered in there. And you definitely need to check out tollandroll.com. It's the stuff is right there. So look no further. because that's it. As far as that stuff goes, they've got it. They've been in front of Doge. They've done a lot of work already in Washington D.C. Renee Powers, freaking awesome lady that runs it. And then you got John, and you got Sheriff Mack, and you got all of these guys that are high end superpowers really in this field that have all been affected by one of these alphabet agencies. And they're there to take them down, man.
Hell yeah.
So definitely that's it. That's all you need to know about them, man. They are just a powerful unit that's ready to take people down. So definitely check out Toll and Roll and
All right.
stuff. And they're
Yeah,
great people. They're easy to talk to. They'd probably love to have someone like you right in the coattails with us.
well, just to give people a little bit of sunshine on the horizon to understand that things are going to get better, I've hooked up with a friend of mine who's also a union person. And the only reason why I'll say her name to friends, but I won't say it out on something like this because unionized people have usually been, when you're trying to organize unions, they usually have been taken out and whatnot. And so in the past, maybe not nowadays, but in the past they have. So just got to be careful. But we're gonna start a union. We're gonna get a union started. She already has experience in organizing unions, and I'm a union man myself. And we're gonna get a union started because that's what we need. Because with a union, you have lobbying power, you have lots of strength, you have connections to organizations. And I have a guy that's out there at that Family First Accountability Act right now, and I told him he needs to help get us connections with these politicians and organizations that they're networking with for that Family First Accountability Act, so that we can network with them for the union and get our union strong off the ground. Because once we have a union, we have power, we have lobbying power, we have a voice, and that's what we need. We need a union. And I have a website. It's called steppingontoes.org. And
Nice.
on my website, I have I haven't really done much with it yet, but I do have a little thing so people can put their email in. And I like to grow the email because I like to connect under the radar, And so I'm going to use that email to connect to people to let them know when the union gets started and how to get into the union, so that way we can unionize.
There was a gentleman by the name. Oh, go ahead, Tiff. Sorry.
Darren, make sure you send me his email and his website.
Yeah, steppingontoes.org, right?
Yep.
Let's put that up here for everybody. But there was also a guy by the name of Melvin Punch, and I think he was in Connecticut or New York. He went that route. I don't know if he's still doing those type of things, or I don't know if it finally everything got to him. But he also tried to start a union at one point in time. I don't know where he stands now. I haven't followed him that much, but he was trying to attempt to do something like that too.
We found a union online. And it was very like a passive type of attempt at a union. And I don't know if they organized it correctly or not, but they may have. But it didn't seem to have too much power to it. We've got some ideas that are going to make it strong. For instance, one thing that we're going to have, and we're probably going to start it out on a website first and then hook it up to the union. We're not sure how we're going to go about it, but we're going to have a network where when you sign up into the union or onto this website, when you sign up, you get to be included. And what it is it's a court watcher network. So whenever you go to court, all you have to do is plug in your court address, the Zoom link, and the phone number call in, and then it will be blasted out to everybody else in the union or website or whatever. It'll be blasted out to everybody. So that way, whenever you go to court, you got thousands of people that are going to be watching.
Hell yeah.
And we'll be putting a hell of a bunch of pressure on these courts every time we're in court.
That's awesome, man. That's going to be great. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is great stuff. We have cpsbreakingnews.com where we do a lot of the same things. I mean, we're all doing a lot of the same things. It's just getting us together. We got to all just unite and focus. And, I've got your back, you've got mine attitude, none of this, I'm trying to be the man. And, we don't need that here. There's no room for that here.
Yeah.
I don't need to be, if yours is better than mine, then so be it. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like, let's take your train. We'll go that way. There's no need for pride in this movement at all. And there's definitely
that's what I hate.
Mm-hmm.
Too many
Mm-hmm.
people are trying to get famous on the internet or whatever, and so they're just promoting stuff, and that's fine. Let them have their pride and stuff, but they're going to learn that pride's going to backfire and kick them in the butt. And you got
Well,
to quit trash talking everybody. You know, these people got to quit trash talking everybody, and they got to quit doing that. They got to start, uniting, because that's division, and they want division. And you never know who's really a government mole, because someone could
mm-hmm.
start a whole big. And I'm not saying nothing against Francesca Amato. I love Francesca Amato, but I'm just saying, what if Francesca Amato was just a government person setting up this act that never goes through, just to discourage all of us,
What if
right?
Francesca Amato stole someone else's bill and it's not hers?
That's not. I know what you're saying. I know. I've heard everything, but I'm just saying. Let's not go there. Let's just understand that
Well, I mean, that's what a government mule
anybody,
would do, right? That's what a
yeah,
government mule would do, right?
right. I
A
could be a
mole would
mole.
do, yeah. Right.
Anybody in this industry could be a mole. So we just got
Mm-hmm.
to accept what everybody does. Don't blast them out. Don't talk trash on them. Just accept it, because everything everybody does is a step forward, no matter what. Just don't let it discourage you. If you find out that person failed into this, okay, so they failed. Let their
Mm-hmm.
pride crush them for trying to be all, hey,
Mm-hmm.
look at me, whatever. But just let them deal with that, and don't let
Mm-hmm.
it discourage you. you know because if any of these people are moles that are setting us up for disappointment, don't let it get you disappointed. Don't let it get you
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, we thought we had this bill and we didn't. No. Just say, hey, she did a good job, she tried hard, way to go, let's try something else. And that's the kind
Mm-hmm.
of attitude we got to have, because if they are moles, it will discourage us. If they're not moles, then it sucks for them. They tried hard and it sucks. And we never know. We can't sit there and just talk trash and be cave to
Mm-hmm.
the gossip. Don't cave to
Right.
that gossip, man.
No, but there's gossip that has truth to it too, But the
I know,
thing
but
is,
we got
the thing with us here is, I don't even care about that stuff, man. You are you now, because you're in this front runner too. Like you're reaching a lot of people, and you're becoming a, you know, a, a source of information and everything for everybody. But what you're doing, man, you are getting people's hope. You are giving people hope, right? So if you are falsely giving people hope, then shame on you.
right,
You hope
right.
hope is such a small thing between existence and non-existence, that if you take that from somebody intentionally to try to make yourself out to be something better, or make yourself out to be
Hmm.
something you're not, that could cost a life, man. Because
Yep.
once someone loses hope, you see it in cancer patients all the time. When they finally lose their hope that they're not going to make it, or they're not going to, it's over. It is over. When people
Well,
lose hope, the game is over for them.
I'm a
And if
man of my
you aren't,
word.
you can't play
And
with that, you know?
what really scared me in the beginning was like, fuck, I just said I'm not going to stop. Man, that means I got to keep going. Damn
Right.
it. What am I getting
Mm-hmm.
myself into? And I was like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? But it's getting easier and easier. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
shit, I'm still going. I'm like, all right, I'll
Tell
keep
the
doing this.
truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell the truth.
But see, when I
Tell
make
the
a
truth.
promise, I got to keep to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like,
Mm-hmm.
I got to keep my word. And
You
so,
got to tell the
I'm
truth,
going to keep
man.
going.
Tell the truth. Be 100% accurate on the information that you're sharing with others. And if you're educating people, if that's the position that you're taking, then you need to damn well make sure that you're absolutely right with what you're saying. That's what we do
Yep.
here on CPS Breaking News, man. We don't give out any information that's bad ever. And I will fire a mother son of a bitch if they come on this news station, they give out false information, they're gone. Period. Because this is no place for that, because you're playing with people's hope. And that
Right.
right there is an honor, to know that their hope is teetering on our words, and to have that, and to know that it could be the difference between them being here today or tomorrow, is all it takes to be able to be 100%. And that's what you need to be in this movement, because there's too many people that don't realize what they actually have in their hands.
Well, the one thing you got to look at is, and because like as a school teacher, we study a lot of psychology. We study people in general a lot. So there's a lot more that a teacher can be open-minded about that a lot of people can't. There's a lot more that a teacher could see with these situations in CPS that the CPS workers can't see, because there's
Mm-hmm.
so much you got to take into perspective. You got to take in a lot of the context and everything like that. So let's take, for instance, there was an advocate that used to go out and defend people in court, by going and representing, and he wouldn't represent uh, as a lawyer or nothing like that, but he would just help them out. And I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, he screwed me on this money, da 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 da." But I think what a lot of it is a lot of these advocates, they want to do well, they want to help people, but then they overwhelm themselves and can't make good on their promises. And that's why you can't get out there. You can't be taking people's money. You can't be going and doing stuff that you don't have experience in and you're not a professional in. And so you can't hate on them for it, because they made a mistake is what they did, and they shouldn't have been doing that. And so what you got to understand when you're looking for help is, if this person or this advocate is asking you for money, just ignore them, because they're going to fail. They're going to blow your money. They're going to mess up. And you don't want to be in that situation, because then it's going to be sour grapes. You're going to hurt them.
Right.
They may have meant well, but then you're going to be angry. So what you got to do, because everybody in this fight, we've all been screwed over by CPS. They're bankrupting people. They're taking people's houses, making people get divorced, all kinds of nasty, mean things, and just totally destroying people. So then when you're in this fight, you can't be asking people to give you money. I understand advocacy isn't cheap. I understand it takes money to run. I mean, I'm paying all kinds of money for my email service, the MailChimp, and then the website and all that jazz, but I make sure I can afford it on my own. I make sure I don't have to ask anybody. If I have to ask people for money, I'm not going to do it. That's just how I am. I'm too prideful to take money. Eventually, maybe from organizations, but not from
Right.
people. Because from people, that's fucked up. Excuse my language, but that's messed up,
No.
taking it from people. You want to take it from organizations, big people who have big money. Just like when you want to do a fight, like a big organize a big event, like when we did the AB
You give something
495 in
tangible.
California.
You give something
That was
tangible to
done
people.
by a church that got people riled up. It was an organization. When you get politicians who have connections with lobbying groups and stuff, they can get things done. You want to hit organizations if you want money. Hit organizations if you want to get events and things done. You don't hit up the people. And that's where you got to be wary of these advocates. If they're hitting up the people, it's like, you either don't know what you're doing and you're going to hurt people's feelings and you're going to hurt people's pocketbooks, and you're going to hurt your reputation, or or there's something wrong with you, one of the two. But you can't be doing that. And that's what these people, that's where they're going wrong. And it's not necessarily that they're evil people or nothing. It's just a lot of the times they just don't know what they're doing. And I've done advocating, like I said before. I don't know if I said this before. I probably said to you in private, but I used to do the Vape and Jesus thing, and I used to advocate, and I know advocacy. And when it comes to this type of advocacy, you got to look at the type of people you're advocating for, and they don't have money.
No, they do. They do not. That's it. We have all been affected. You're absolutely right by that. And the way I see it, as long as you give people a tangible product and you back what you do, and you don't pop the surprises, and you're not begging people for money, and you're not like, give me this or give me that, or I'm not doing this. If you make yourself a legitimate business plan, a legitimate thing, and you're giving people a legitimate tangible product, then there's no problem in asking for that,
Right.
because you're giving a service. But you're right.
Yep.
If people are out there and they're like, oh, I'm not going to do this for you unless you give me $50, or if that stuff, screw you, move on. Don't trust them. Like that.
Yeah.
That's just not the way to do it. Not at all.
You got to give them a product or service. That's just how business is. If you don't get a product, you don't get a service, and a service that you can count on, like something downloadable or something that where you're going to get it, not something like, oh, I might go defend you in court. No, now you're depending on the trust of their word. No, something that they can actually give you. Then, yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Didn't we just talk about this last night?
Yeah, we did. Were you watching our show last night? Say yes. Say yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so we were at our time, man. We actually went over, so that was good, man. We could have kept talking too, I'm sure, but I want to thank you, man, for coming on. We got you you are up here on, let me see here. Your website is steppingontoes.org, right? Right there.
Yep.
Boom, people. Is there anything else that you want to throw in before we cut out of here, man?
Nah, that's it. I'm good.
You're good. All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much for coming in tonight. Tiff, we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. And everybody else, hang on to hope. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody.
Never been a perfect person. I put the cart before the horse. A list of reasons, long as sermons, why I never needed a God. Then I heard his voice, so sweet, it put me on my knees. I'm holding on to hope for dear life, with God driving, and I'm finally free at last. God driving, God driving.
We know it's all about the money, we know they lie, we know this is corruption. Does CPS know what they are doing to the children?